Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm very thankful. I'm very surprised in a good way to see the number of turnout. I'd like to congratulate you for making this decision to be here today, because this is your first step to becoming a more aware citizen and a more aware member of Singapore society. I wanted to share my personal journey and my discoveries along the way, and how my assumptions about the poor got debunked as I entered into Daughters of Tomorrow's work. So 4 years ago, when I found out that there were this many families, young families, who were struggling to make ends meet, the first thing that popped in my head is, Mom is not working. The woman is a latent economic resource. If she could get to work, the family would be better off. And back then, my corporate job, I used to be a headhunter. And my job was to place people in jobs. And it was just no-brainer. And I looked around and I saw so many job advertisements on your Jollibee. Everywhere you will see, we're looking to hire, this is the pay, we need part-time staff, full-time staff. And that hasn't changed today. And the headhunter in me kicked in, and I'm like, okay, they're employers, there are women who want jobs, let's just match them. And that was what I set about doing. And I think the crappy thing was, it wasn't as easy a journey as I thought. Even though I was a headhunter, I understood that for an employment situation to work out is not only about whether the job seeker was motivated and wanted a job. A large part of it was about whether the employers were willing to be flexible to offer, and what do they have to offer in a job, right? And I thought, well, if we could play that role of being the negotiator on behalf of the women, this should get sorted. But it was a harrowing journey, because the first few times I tried to match a woman to an employer and I coordinated her job interviews, I would get calls from employers saying, hey, your candidate late now, half an hour already. How come not here yet? And I would get very frazzled. I'll be like, hi, I'm trying so hard to get you this job. How come you cannot be punctual? Later on, when I investigated further, I realized that the poor woman was lost getting to the interview because she did not have GPS on her phone. She did not know how to get to the interview venue. That was the first turning point for me in understanding the different extent of constraints someone else in Singapore could be facing. And I guess I came from a space of, wondering, if people are poor, why don't they just get a job? And I asked that question to some of the women in my class when they were doing, their planning, and we were coaching them to set their goals, and they hesitated so much to just set a goal to get a job. And I asked, why? She said, because I have bills to pay. And it completely did not make sense in my first world head. Yeah, if you had bills to pay, you get a job, you can pay the bills. It was sensible, right? Logical. And after digging deeper, what I found out was, yeah, but her reply to me was, I don't know whether I should take the money, I have a few dollars this week, to pay for my bus fare to get to that job interview, and I'm not sure whether it will pan out, or to just give that few dollars to my kid to spend during recess time for food. And all these discoveries led Daughters of Tomorrow to then design our programs to include very critical things like providing childminding. Every class that the women come for, we have childminding support so that the children are taken care of and the women can learn in peace. We structured financial support to help the women top up their transport cards, their EasyLink cards, top up their prepaid phone cards so that they can stay accessible and in communication to get to a job interview or to get to a skills development workshop. What is the extent of this problem, right? When we eventually managed to have some successes with all these things in place to place a woman into job, the second challenge came. Out of every 3 women we placed, 2 of them would quit within the first month. And literally at that point I was saying, why are they dropping off like flies? And then we investigated further, and we realized these women cannot hold down their jobs beyond the first month because it was just too damn hard. When the kids fall sick, they get called up. And when one kid falls sick, the 3 others or 2 others, how many ever you have at home, will fall sick. And they get so tired of applying for urgent leave and getting these looks, accusatory looks from the employers, that they just automatically quit, even if they do not get fired. And then we set about talking to employers, because we realized we really need employers to understand these challenges. And then we went about doing employer advocacy. We got employers who were keen to hire these women to go through a poverty sensitization workshop and help them understand the everyday realities and challenges of these women. So I'm glad to report and share that for the past 3 years, after doing all these things, our attrition rate from placing women into jobs has shifted from 2 falling off in 1 month to only 30% of attrition. And every month now, Daughters of Tomorrow at our current team size, which is a small team, we are able to place between 5 to 8 women in jobs every month. What is the extent of the problem? In the last 6 months, the number of referrals of women to Daughters of Tomorrow through various social workers from family service centers and social service officers has been about 276. So we're looking at a referral rate of around 40 over women to our database every month who needs our support. And we place the estimation of the entire pool of women who need this support very conservatively at about 25,000, given the number of families who are on ComCare assistance each year. So we're not saying that this is a bleak cause. We've seen how a lot of what we can do as a community to provide support and handholding to these women can help. But why we're interested to be here today and to put our weight behind OWARE's recommendations is because we don't want to be doing this work. I don't want to be doing this work at Daughters of Tomorrow all our lives and just have women fall out of work after placing them because of structural barriers like this. So, well, we hope that through today's session, we can all get an awareness of all these deeper issues and structural issues that continue to prevent a very motivated, a very valuable and very talented community of women in our midst who can, create very good futures for themselves and be very good contributors to their employers and to society if only they had these barriers removed. Okay, thank you.